Welcome, welcome. Hey, Stephen, great to see you.
Hey there, Wendy. Nice to see you. It's been a little bit of time.
It
Been about
definitely has.
almost a year, right?
I know. Time flies when you're stuck at home, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I've been yeah, it's been a lot more, yeah, work, stay at home, work from home. I do try to get out as much as I can.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. And events have been picking up. I think last year there was a total of 19 events and 6 of them were in person. So I was pretty pleased with that in the midst of, everything going on in the world. So
Yeah, that's great.
welcome, Katie. Great to have you here.
Hello.
So I just want to thank you guys for joining. Hopefully some more people will pop on. If not, they will get the recordings and you guys just get an hour of having all of your questions answered. So just a little bit of background about myself, and I'm not going to go into a whole thing because really you guys don't care. You just want your questions answered, and that's what this time is for. But my name is Wendy Freeman. I am the owner of Be Bright Events. Be Bright Events is a boutique consulting, production, engagement, and planning company where we handle all of your events, virtual, hybrid, in person, soup to nuts, or a la carte pieces. So we help our clients, predominantly in the entrepreneur space, who are hosting events with purpose and mission and making a lasting impact. And I have been running events for over 15 years. I did it for corporate for many years. And even before that, I always say it out of order. Birthday parties, engagement parties, bridal showers, baby showers. And then all through, my very first event was a youth group event for 211th graders for an overnight retreat. And that was when I was like, okay, all right. I didn't know what I was doing. I got thrown into the role and figured it out, loved it, and decided to make a career of it. So that is just a little bit of background on myself and the business. And I will just dive right in. Katie, you are planning a women's power brunch, correct?
Correct. I am a very new coach, and this is part of the coaching package that women who sign up to work with me will get. So I'm very new to any kind of event planning. I'm super excited though, because my goal is to find a woman-owned restaurant and be able to have that at their facility.
That's awesome. Okay, so couple of quick hit questions. Do you have a date or a timeline in mind?
I don't have the specific date. I'm narrowing that down. I'm kind of at that June, or probably the first couple of weeks of July is what I have in mind right now.
Okay, and what part of the country?
I am in Denver, so it would be something local to me.
Okay, so you said in your comments that you just don't know where to start. And the very first thing, if you're looking for July for a luncheon, is find the venue. First and foremost, find the venue. What has happened as a result of COVID with both hotels, restaurants, venues everywhere? It's called compression is the word that the industry is using. And so you have 2 to 3 years worth of events all trying to be planned in 1 year. So I'm sourcing venues for clients right now into 2024, 2025, and even there finding challenges. Of course, those are for the larger, conference 3-day, need multiple spaces or need, large space. For a luncheon, you're going to be a little bit better off. What is your goal attendee count looking like?
I feel like I'm shooting for the moon here, but that's kind of what happens when you're new. I would like to have anywhere from 15 to 25. Sorry, I have a sick child at home today, so
No worries.
This was totally spur of the moment that I was even able to join, so I was super excited about that.
We're glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you. So 15 to 25, I think is about where I'm gonna land.
Okay. So you're not looking to do an actual restaurant buyout. You just need
No.
a reservation for so many people in a maybe semi-private space.
Correct.
Okay, fantastic. So obviously the first thing you need to do is find that venue. And we would literally just start with Google searches for women-owned restaurants in the Denver area. I mean, that is.
It's really kind of funny because my day job, I work with a lady whose husband does food vlogging. And so I was texting her just earlier. I was like, hey, I know you're going to know something like this. And she gave me an idea of a couple of restaurants that are women owned that maybe be able to accommodate. So I'm excited about getting some starting.
Fantastic. Well, that definitely helps to narrow it down. Couple of other just kind of tips as you're going through it. Obviously, as soon as you get the date and once you find your venue and narrow down the date, you're going to want to open up your registration. That's going to be your, really start your marketing and promotions of it. So depending on, this is already going to members of your group. So it's not like you have to really put it out there and run ads and do big marketing campaigns, but definitely would suggest at least a 3 to 5 pulse email campaign to your group, and really honing in on the fact that size is limited, that it is limited to the first 15 women that sign up. Even if you only have 20 women in your group, that sense of scarcity creates scarcity and urgency. So you start selling those tickets. And it can be as simple as you can do something on your website without knowing a lot of background. You could make it as simple as, like, I would say the easiest thing if you don't already have infrastructure in place would be to create an Eventbrite event, because you can create that in probably an hour, put your information in there, you can process your payment, you can do all your email communication. So it's basic, but for a lot of people that are just getting started, they're looking to do something quick, cost effective. That's going to be your easiest way to communicate with your attendees, collect their money, and keep that headcount registration going. And then from there, I would encourage you to really just, once they sign up, keep them engaged. So add a couple of emails to keep that momentum alive, to really nurture them and make them feel included, and not like, okay, yes, I RSVP'd and then I'll see them the day before. That's where a lot of people drop the ball. They're so, and this goes for all events. They're so focused on filling seats. And then you don't hear from the organizer until the day before, if that. So even if it's something as simple as a, hey guys, I'm so excited, I just picked the menu. We're going to have, local fare from blah, 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 blah. It's going to be amazing. Or if you're having a speaker, highlight who that speaker is going to be, so-and-so just confirmed. And that's just really, that's where I think specifically for what you're doing, it really creates that community, and it creates that know, like, and trust factor with you. And it sets you apart from so many of the other events that are out there. So I think that that's a really important part of that. And then also make sure that you do a know before you go or show up email. Here's what time you should get here. Here's what the dress code is. Here's where parking is. If it's paid parking and you're not covering that, go ahead and let them know that. If it's valet, let them know that, so that they get there, there's no surprises, and it is just amazing. So that's kind of tapping into the marketing piece of that. Hey, Melissa, welcome. So that's kind of tapping into the marketing piece. And then I would say the other important part is now the logistics of it. So as you're working with the venue, they're going to work it in a couple of ways. They're either going to say, do you just want to order everybody off the menu, and then Katie will just bill everything to me? That's going to be your easiest way to go. If you want to have a little bit more control over costs and keep within your budget, I would suggest asking them for a prefixed menu, where you can look at their menu. You can pick 3 different entrees. You can pick 3 different sides. You can pick 3 different desserts. They should, at the venue, print you a custom menu. You should be able to give them your logo. You should be able to give them that information. If not, create something. That's just another way to add your brand to the event. And then make sure, if you are doing a food and beverage minimum, sometimes if it's semi-private space, they may want you to commit to a food and beverage minimum. So as you're doing all that, make sure you include, or planning your budget, that typically those do not include taxes and gratuities. So if you say, I'm committing to spending $5,000 for this luncheon for 15 women, go ahead and figure out what those taxes and gratuities are and add that into your budget. That's where a lot of first-time event hosts, they have that shock factor at the end. They've been planning their budget, and a lot of times gratuities end up at 22%. If it's at a hotel venue, you have another 24% service charge. And before you know it, you're already 25% over budget before you even started purchasing anything else.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Thank you. Yeah.
And then you can also ask, I don't know how, detailed you're looking to go or what your budget looks like, but you can also ask them, do you have a choice of custom linens? Do they have various centerpieces? Or is that something that you want to create on your own?
Bring in. Okay.
To make it a little bit more inclusive and just incorporating your brand into that overall event.
Right.
And then I didn't mention, but on that marketing list, go ahead and add a thank you email as well, just thanking them for their time, how great it was, so on and so forth. And then also for social media purposes, obviously take pictures when you're there, post those, even though the other people aren't there. It gives that social proof. Look what Katie's doing. Katie's hosting events. Katie has a crowd. And it gives you that social proof as you continue to grow your business. So I'm going to pop over to Stephen, and then since there is just 3 of you, we will circle back to you, Katie, and see if as you're listening to Stephen and I talk, if it brings anything else up or if you have any other questions. So Stephen, I wasn't totally clear. Let me find yours in this list. Validate an offer for an in-person event idea.
Yeah. So I'm really at probably a step even before Katie. So I've spent all of my coaching career doing mostly, I would say all one-on-one coaching. Of course, I go out there and I teach classes for public speaking skills and things like that in the soft skill space. But where I'm having some challenges on identifying like, hey, here's kind of an offer, here's kind of an idea I have. How can I validate it, dry market it? And I mean, as I say it, I actually start to think of thoughts. I start to think of ways to possibly validate it, but I want to just get from your perspective, how does one go from, hey, here's 5 ideas to which one's really going to take off?
Market research is a big one. Facebook polls. I have clients as they're committed to doing an event. They know when it's going to be, and they're like, well, do I want it to be focused on abundance? Do I want to have it focused on manifestation or revenue there are a million different ideas. And so they go to these massive groups, the ones with 10,000 plus, and put polls in there. It's also a pre-marketing thing. You can ask them, but then take screenshots of who those names are so that once you decide, you can then go and send them a direct message being like, hey, thank you so much. Your feedback really meant the world to me. As it turns out, this is what the event is about. Would love to share some more information. Are you open to it? Or whatever that, that languaging may be. Do you want to share what your ideas are with me?
Well, yeah, I've been, so I work with introvert executives, and I've thought about stuff around that, right? So like breaking the ice, starting conversations with strangers, networking, being able to do impromptu speaking. So it would be very experiential. It wouldn't be a lot of butts and seats learning. It would be getting people up, going and talking to strangers, basically overcome that social fear. That's the thought I've had around that. There's a guy out there, and it's funny, as I was just Googling him, I ended up finding an article from 2015 that doesn't paint him as such a great guy, but there's this guy named Julian LeBlanc, who I see all the time on TikTok and Facebook and all of that. And he does a lot of this charisma, authenticity, social confidence kind of stuff. And I look at it, I'm like, that's what I'd love to work on, especially for tech introverts, which Austin, Texas, thanks to all the other 49 states sucking, everybody's moving here. No, just kidding. I'm just kidding about that though.
Only a little kidding. Just
only a little kidding. Well, it's just also I get on the road and I'm like, why do those states suck so bad that people have to move here? mess up the traffic. I've been here for 16 years. So any case, yeah, I'm thinking, since there's so many tech youngins,
Mhm.
and many of the tech youngins are introverts, thinking, why not teach them social skills? You know, everything up to, so some of it is around the business side. And then I've even had the thought, well, what about dating? What about teaching them how to interact with the young ladies? Or since it's Austin, I have to kind of be, you know, all degrees of freedom, but like, you know, the person that they might be interested in from a relationship perspective.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Anyway, those are just a couple of the things that are bubbling up for me.
Okay, so first of all, I love the concept. You don't have to narrow it down at all. What you said at the very beginning was breaking out of the shell.
Mhm.
That is your concept. All the other things, those are your sessions. You have a loose agenda of what you're going to do already, because all of those individual things tie into the whole. So it's I feel like you're looking for that golden nugget, but you already have it. And in all of the searching and brainstorming that you've been doing, you've identified what are those activations, what are those experiences, and now it's just a matter of really putting it in that order. And how are you weaving it in? Because they're going to come in very timid, very shy. So in what order are you putting all of these things?
Yeah.
To get, like, the dating one, that's the end. That is the
Yeah.
total end. If they're nervous in business, they're definitely nervous with the people that they're attracted to.
That even could be an upsell at the end.
Amazing.
You know what I mean? Just
Absolutely.
focus it down. That way and that, because that actually has a whole different crew. Like in my mind's eye, the people that I need to have at that event, that second event, is a completely different crew. Like I honestly want to make it where I have attractive actors and actresses, and I'm like allowing them to break through their own fears by engaging in conversation. And so anyway, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that
Yeah,
idea there.
absolutely.
So,
And I think for you, the biggest challenge is going to be getting the registrations, because they don't want to step out of their comfort zone. So a couple of things that came up just listening to you talk, and I'm not sure exactly I understand who your target audience is, but who your marketing messages go to. What about the human resources manager of these tech organizations, so that the company is paying and sending them to go there? It's not up to the introvert to raise their hand and be like, oh, put me in a really awkward, uncomfortable situation.
Totally agree. And what I found, so to echo what you're saying, is what I found is that introverts don't ask for help. And so it's even part of the program. I need to add that in there, like how to confidently ask for help without it coming off as creepy, or how to whatever. Yeah, but yeah, like totally agree. Yeah, it would be more of one of those quote unquote, you know, somebody who loves you sent you to this.
Exactly. It's an intervention without a real intervention. And I think also, you know, for you, what may be a really great kind of icebreaker, once you get this off the ground, to make what happens in the room that much more powerful, similar to the way I was telling Katie to nurture with the emails, I would encourage you to do a couple of virtual sessions leading into the event, so that when they walk into the event, there's familiarity in faces. You can send them into smaller breakouts virtually. And the breakouts can be as simple as, this is what I have found for virtual to be one of the best icebreakers, that even the most timid people will turn on their camera and share. You kick it off and you're like, when was the last time you were at a scavenger hunt? And they're like, what? You're like, all right, I'm going to set the timer for 60 seconds. Wherever you are right now, whether it's in your purse, in your room, in your car, wherever it is, grab a symbol of something that makes you happy, something you're proud of, and something of, I guess for you, it'd be hard to say why you're here, but even two things, something that makes you happy and something you're proud of. 9 out of 10 times, people are going to show up with pictures of their dogs, pictures of their kids, pictures of their spouse, something they're proud of. People don't mind talking about themselves. It's when they're speaking about something else. So then all you do is say, I'm going to pair you up with one other person. You're going to be in a room, share what your item is, or maybe it's 3 people, depending on what the audience numbers are. The minute that they have something in common with somebody else, they instantly feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
and they've broken the ice by sharing, oh, this is my spouse. They're happy to talk about their spouse because it's not really them. They're talking about somebody else. So I think for you, that would be a really powerful way to break the ice before they're even there. Once they're in the room, you're going to have to do an icebreaker again. And it's going to have to be something simple and not too crazy and out of their comfort zone. But I think that would, one, get your momentum leading into the event, and two, make the event that much more powerful.
Yes. And it leads into another thought that I've had, which is, and the challenge I'm having. Well, let me first say the thought, and then I'll say like what's bubbling up as a challenge is I've been thinking to start introvert networking events online, because I know, number one, this is less confrontational, less scary, whatever you want to say, of looking at a CCD, little charge coupled device, vis-a-vis another human being staying in front of you. And then I would do breakout sessions for all of them so that they can really pair, instead of it being something like a 1 of 5, let them pair up instead of like bigger groups. And so slowly what I could do is, I could, much like you're saying, give them prompts to get the networking going. And then that's kind of as I build community, right? So like when I send out my Eventbrite or my Zoom, whatever, there's going to be an event registration. So I'm going to be able to collect emails, So yeah, I've had that thought of like building this on-ramp, but the challenge, this is where I get hung up, is the geographical part, like going from worldwide LinkedIn then to Austin. So now I need to research Austin-based groups. So it's like, it needs to be virtual in the beginning just to build some community, but then ultimately I want to move them to an in-person event.
Well, and I will tell you that right now, the top 2 event states are Texas and Florida. So even people that have a national and international reach the majority of them are sourcing their venues in Texas and Florida. So you're very fortunate in that regard. And I think that I love the idea of doing not even the virtual, like doing the virtual networking first to build that momentum before you even create the virtual experience leading into. Right. That is the perfect, we call it the profit ladder, where you're starting with something free, you're going into something really low cost. I mean, even if the virtual, not the networking piece, but the first virtual quote event was 2 hours at $19, it's getting skin in the game.
Absolutely.
It's more of an investment in yourself and your business it's taking the market research one step further to validate all of that.
And to make sure that I have all of this and partly to ideate it so it singes into the synapses, is that I go very broad at the top of the funnel, where I'm basically saying anybody on LinkedIn, come on, come all, come one, come all. Yep. At some point, if I exceed 100 seats Zoom, then that's a different problem.
That's a $50 solution.
Yeah, exactly. And then from there, I can turn it. So this is free. This other virtual networking event may be very, very low cost. And then that is part of my funnel to the in-person event. And then what I'm hearing you say is, I'm reading into what you're saying, which is, don't be concerned that they may not live in Texas.
Right.
They may just say, you know what, this is a fantastic excuse to spend 2 days in Texas. I can go to beautiful Kalahari Resort. I can go to
an event there in September.
Exactly. Right. Or I can go to San Antonio, or I can go to such and such, I'm based in Austin, what have you. And then I enroll them for that. Exactly. So yeah. So it's a 3-step.
Definitely. And what I would do is I would target, if you're going to go the route for the in-person of targeting HR managers, that's where I would target more of local Austin, because they're going to be much more likely to send employees if they don't have to do flights and all of that. But absolutely. I mean, I think with the way that events are and the lack of in-person over the past couple of years, I think even the introverts are craving human connection. They may not know that's what's missing, but they're feeling something. They have to be feeling a loss.
Yeah.
So I think you're in a great, and the Kalahari, like just only because I just did an event there in September, there's something for everybody there.
Oh,
So it's
absolutely.
extend your trip, make a weekend out of it. And just so that you know, they are great of be like, yes, I'm getting this ballroom. I want a wristband for all my attendees that gets them into the water park, that gets them this, that
Yep.
gets them that. So that when you're doing your ticket options, you can either do a VIP option that includes all of this 20% off at the spa, this, that, the other. They
Right.
are amazing at creating packages and concessions that don't necessarily cost you money, but add a lot of value to your attendees.
Yeah. And I think the key thing here with regard to the introverts is I need to show them that, look, this whole thing is not your, it's, let me say what it's not, and then I can turn it around, but it's not about, hey, you walk in the door and you're being thrown into, there's 50 people in this room. I have no idea. It's literally going to be, you're going to have a concierge. You're going to have whatever. I'll get my 15-year-old son who doesn't have a job to be the hugger.
Mhm.
He'll be able to bring people in and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to pair you off right now. This is your first, whatever, buddy. And then, it basically, it's going to be more hand holding, for lack of a better term.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's not going to be, you get a name tag and here's the room full of people that you have no idea about.
Right. Yes, you pair them up. I'm even envisioning the ballroom, if it's a 2-day event, let's say, because I feel like 3 may be overwhelming to
Mhm.
your audience. I'm thinking maybe it's a come the evening before and you have a little networking reception where they get to meet each other. I envision the ballroom set with low cocktail tables, 2 seats per. And every
Yeah.
2 sessions, every 2 activities, you're switching them up. So again, they're
That's
not
right.
walking in to this big overwhelming room. And
Yeah.
maybe by the last, 3 hours when you break for lunch, then they come back into the room and it's classroom or theater
Yes.
seating. And so it's like you're easing them into it.
Absolutely.
So
That's
even the event orchestration is an
right.
experience that they're not even realizing. As they're getting more comfortable, you're putting them in a situation that they may have previously felt more overwhelmed by.
That's right. Yeah. I think the key things, some of the key takeaways or results that will occur by the end of the 2 days is, one, they're going to be much more confident sharing impromptu, for example. Number 2, they're going to be much more confident walking up to a group of people and breaking in. And it's not just because they're going to have built up, but they're also going to learn questions to ask, statements to make, what have you. Like they're going to also have their like unique value message, whatever it is. Like if somebody says, well, what do you do, Bob? Instead of Bob saying, well, I'm a software developer, he's going to say, so I'm going to steal some stuff from Matthew Pollard, Introvert, the Introvert's Guide to Networking. So yeah, I can kind of see this now. The problem with me is I'm really good at just doing exactly what you and I just did. The bad part is I'll put the damn thing into action.
You got to get it into action. So there is
Set a
on my
date.
website, if you go to resources, there's a getting started guide. Download that. That may help you to just kind of get some of what's in your head out of your head and onto paper. And then there's some other resources that can help you throughout the process, because I think this is the same challenge that event hosts have with their attendees is everybody's lit up at the event and then they leave and don't do anything with all of the information. So
Absolutely.
what I have learned is that once it's out of your head onto paper, you've already started the process.
Right.
That's step 1. So you have ongoing momentum. So I challenge you to download that toolkit, or not the toolkit, the getting started guide. It'll help you kind of craft all the beginning things of what you need. And honestly, the same thing, just like I did with Facebook Live or with this Ask Me Anything. This was an idea I had when I was on the phone with a client. I was driving in the car and I was like, I'm just going to do an Ask Me Anything. I didn't put together a full formal launch. I posted some social media. I mean, I think you registered, you maybe got 1 email. My email list probably got 1 email. This was a done beats perfect. I wanted to do it.
Absolutely.
I wanted to see how it received. Am I disappointed that only 3 of you showed up out of who all registered? Yes, I would love for there to be more people here. And at the same time, this I don't see as a failure. It's progress.
Yeah.
People registered, step 1. People showed up, step 2. And the benefit is by it being such a small, intimate group, I'm able to deliver even more value.
Truly,
Next month,
truly.
I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to try it different. I'm going to say I'm going live on Facebook, hop onto the Facebook Live. Maybe that works for more people. Like, so it's the same thing for you. Post a virtual, I'm going to do this virtual thing, hop into the Zoom room, do a registration link, see how it works. If it doesn't, next time, post the Zoom link, see what happens. And I think that as entrepreneurs and business builders, that is what it's a mindset thing that we have to get used to, you know?
Absolutely. And what it is it's ready, fire, aim.
Oh, that's awesome, Katie. Which client sent this? I just saw your message. Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot, making you unmute. I'll just ask, was it Nick?
No, it was Dave Scatcherd.
Oh, fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, he is actually my coach. And it's funny because he just put it in our all-star group and I saw it and I was like, oh, this is perfect. This day at home is ending up to be so productive and beneficial. Yay.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Were you at Dave's event in December?
I was not.
All right, we'll save the dates. It's going to be the first week of December again this year.
That is.
He hasn't told his group yet, so I probably just let the cat out of the bag. But
no, you're fine because part of us do know that, and I'm also a one-on-one client, so I knew that was coming too.
Awesome. Yeah, it's funny because I met Dave in a mastermind, and then he attended an event that I ran in July and was like, okay, I need you. We connected. I started planning his event. After being at his event, seeing how he poured into his audience, I was like, what does it look like to work with you one-on-one? And I hired him as one of my one-on-one coaches as a result of that. So it's funny how it all comes full circle.
It is. And it's amazing because you just end up in the right place at the right time where you're meant to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Melissa, you're in the hot seat.
Hey, how is everyone?
Good.
Sorry.
How are you? We're glad you're here.
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you, Wendy. Do you have my question there? Because to be honest with you, I don't remember what it was.
Well, I can, yes, let me see. Did you register as Mel, maybe?
Yes, that's me.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, there it is. How do we charge for our services was your question, but I'm happy to answer any other questions that you may have.
So I love hosting events, and when I mean hosting events, I recently just started hosting mixers because I realized that I love connecting people, and people usually come to me to find out who is great at this. So I'm like, you know what, let me start doing what I love to do, which is bringing people together. And I know that marketing is not for everybody. It's not their cup of tea. And the best way to market yourself is by building genuine relationship with people. And how do you do that? Through networking events. Yep. I call them mixers because networking, blah, boring, old school. So that's what I started to do since February. I do them twice a month. I just launched a membership for the back end of it last month. So that's my jam, but I'm only one person. I don't know how to expand it and have little birdies say how great of my events of my mixers are, so it could grow to the mass. Well, not the mass. My goal is 100 women in the membership, and then for it to flourish on its own. Okay. Where are your events? So my events are virtual.
They're virtual. Okay. Fantastic.
The goal down the road would be to do here. I live in New Jersey, so the goal would probably be to do in New Jersey, New York, Philly area. But right now I just started virtually.
Okay, that's awesome. First of all, congratulations, because
Thank you.
that's the first step. All of you've all made a decision to do something. Katie, you are this close to doing it. Stephen, I'm going to follow up with you because I know you're going to do it, and Melissa, you're doing it. So it's fun to have a group of all the various stages because I think you all can learn from each other. Couple of quick questions about your events. Is it always there? It's always you as the host for your group of women. And are you charging for them to attend?
I don't charge the first one, and I don't charge for the first one. No.
Okay, and that's fine.
So-
That's fine. I just wanted to have a little bit of an understanding. So the idea is that they come, they network, and ultimately the goal is selling them into your membership program. Perfect. I think the easiest way. So, and it's, I like that you are being realistic with what your goals are. You're like to the masses, then you're like, no, hold on, let's, 100 people, because that's to the masses is not scalable growth. You want to grow in a way that is scalable. So you can you can bring on an admin as it gets bigger. You can bring on that,
Yep.
So I think one of the easiest free ways for you to get the word out at the events, if you can have someone who's not you, because you obviously are the face, you have to be mingling and engaging with everybody. Excuse me. Have somebody grab their cell phone and be like, hey, do you mind saying or what your experience is? How has this event been for you? Especially if you're serving wine. Wait till the last hour of your event. And if you have 2 or 3 questions, pinpointed questions, it'll make it much easier. What made you sign up for this? Did you meet somebody cool? I mean, simple, easy questions, but then you have social proof and you can post it on the video, or you can post it on social media. You can send it out to your email list. You can use it in a story of, look at these women having an amazing time. Even as you're there, take pictures, people laughing. I mean, it sounds silly, but that's your proof of concept. Anybody can sit here and talk about anything, and say, I'm an expert, this is what I do. But when you can show other people, I have noticed across the board, my attendees, not my attendees, my clients, we can't do this for first time events, obviously, but my clients that are hosting events after their first that post client testimonials live on site at the event or virtual, a lot of times, and Stephen, this will go for you too, for virtual, when it ends, you can thank so same principle. For Stephen, you'd be like, hey, I'd love to capture what you guys thought about this. If you'll stay on, you're on Zoom, it's already recording. You can crop out their thing and you have it. But being able to have people speaking about their experience, ticket sales are typically at least 20% higher to their next event for the 20% higher on the events that post a testimonial versus those that don't. Stephen, for you, it may be a follow-up in an email. They may not want to have their face recorded and living in
cyberspace
land. But in that follow-up email, would love to hear what was your favorite experience? How did this help you? As long as when you hold a phone or send a form and it's just these open-ended questions, that's where people struggle. It's really more on, so when we do, large scale events, we have a list of 5 or 7 questions printed out that the attendees can be looking at while they're standing in line to record their testimonial. They feel comfortable, they're answering what they want versus it's like you do a Facebook Live and you're like, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? Or whatever that is. So thinking, Melissa, about those very specific questions of what's different about this group that you didn't. Find the women who have maybe come 2 or 3 times. What made you come back to this event? How many people have you brought? How did you hear about this event? Who brought you to this event? How is this different? Any of those questions. And there's also another free resource on my website of a follow-up event survey. This is a little bit different, but I think for you guys, there's a question bank of like 40 or 50 different questions that helps my clients craft what that follow-up survey is, but that may give you guys some ideas of how can you tweak that question into a testimonial type question.
You share that link or wherever we could find that.
Definitely.
And your hair looks lovely, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
So pretty.
Thank you. Yep, I will drop that link in the chat. There you go.
Thank you.
Now I'm just scrolling to make sure it's on there. That one's not on there. I will find, oh, I know why, because I started charging for it because it was a good one, but I'll send it to you, Melissa. I'll actually
Okay.
send it to all of you guys because you showed up. So there you go.
Thank you. And then which one was the one that you were telling Stephen about?
That is, I'll actually share my screen and show you guys. So the one that I was sharing with Stephen is this workbook, Setting Goals for Your Events. It's really going to walk you through figuring out who your target audience is. How do you set goals? What kind of speakers do you need? It walks through some ticketing pricing. It's very, very high level, but of all the different areas. So it helps you kind of wrap your head around what you need to be thinking about as you're conceptualizing an event.
Okay. Thank you.
And then
I'll look.
virtual, if you're doing a virtual event, this planning workbook gets even, it's kind of step 2 to the goal setting. But everything on here, this is just the resources section, and all the resources here are free. So enjoy. And they're instant download. You'll get an email, and you're not going to be added to a million different nurture campaigns. I'm not that complex. There's one. So
Awesome.
So other things for you, Melissa, I think that would be beneficial is finding, I know I talk about Facebook groups a lot, but for local things, they really are a great way. And before you hopped on, I think it was before you hopped on, I was talking with Stephen about doing polls in those groups, because those groups, you can't do self-promotion, but polls is a great way to get engagement and see interest. So you could even say, I'm hosting a women's network or women's mixer. Would you be most interested in a cheese and wine, like whatever it may be? See who responds to your poll and then send them direct messages. Hey, we're doing this. You responded. Thank you so much. We're taking your cheese and wine idea. Your idea 1 wanted to let you know, here's the date, this, that, whatever. Come join us and do that direct outreach.
Right.
I have one client right now who we opened up, he's having an event in July in Arizona, which nobody wants to go to Arizona in July, but he is an amazing coach, and he literally created his website. We did not have a date. We had a date. We didn't have a venue. We didn't have ticket pricing. We didn't have anything. He created one single landing page, went in Facebook, sent voice memos. Hey, Katie, just want to let you know, I'm in the process of creating this event. It's going to be limited to 150 people. When I'm thinking about who my audience is, you need to be in this room. Go drop your name on the email list and I'll send you details. People, like, we had, I think, over 250 people responded. And he said all he did was he sat in his little camper van outside on a Saturday afternoon and just sending direct messages, voice messages, because people feel seen, they feel heard. You know, same thing. I should be taking my own advice. I should have been reaching out to people that I've talked to in the past 2 years that I know are planning an events and weren't in a place where they were ready to hire. And I should have been like, hey, Melissa, I'm doing this thing. Would love to have you in the room. Now, you know, like I said, done beats perfect. And I didn't follow everything that I say to do, but these are proven tactics that do work. So it's probably like everyone, right? You're very good at doing what you do for your clients, but you don't necessarily always follow it for yourself.
Yeah, I really love that idea. It was like, boom, like I love connecting with people and actually having conversations via messenger, you know, and getting to know them. So what you just said there about that type of, I guess, strategy about the polls and then connecting with them. Oh, thank you for sharing your vote. And then when the time is right, hey, you need to be, you know, well, obviously after you've created that relationship, it's easier.
Exactly.
But, wow.
And I think the voice message goes a lot further because of now there's so many VAs and bots that you don't know that it's the real person who's actually taking the time to message you.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's much easier just speaking than trying to craft a perfect message, you know?
Yeah.
It's more authentic. So.
Agreed.
So what else? We have about 14 minutes left. I'm happy to answer any other questions in general, whether it's your event, other people's events.
So if I want to because I know what I'm good at. Like, I'm good at hosting. I'm good at bringing people together. How do I get a job like that? Not a job, but like, yeah, I guess it's a job.
I mean, honestly, I think that the women that you're bringing into your environment could potentially be perfect candidates for you to do that for them. I mean, I don't know if they're just coming just to meet people in the area, or if they're business owners, or, honestly, you have to shout it from the rooftops. You have to tell people that this is what you're doing. I've been doing this for myself. I really enjoy doing it. Would love to do it for others. And it follows that rule of, would you do it for free for 3 people? The next 3 people that respond, I'd love to organize a networking event of 30 people for you for free. Then you figure out a price. The next 3 people are half price. After that, you go to full price. And once you book up your calendar, you increase your prices. I mean, and that's just, I think without putting any money into it, I think social media is going to be your best outreach, and being vulnerable, showing who you are. When you're at your event, go into a corner where you can see the whole people in the background and record a video. You don't have to go live. You don't have to do it live at your event. You can hit record and post it later. That's another thing. I think a lot of people, if you're not inspired in the moment to go live, your message falls flat, you don't feel. But if you're like, I'm just going to record it and see how it goes, you can record it and see how it goes, So I think that would be a great solution. I also think you could reach out to a lot of these other, again, in the Facebook groups, scroll through the polls of, I've seen a couple of the comments. I've seen a couple of people lately doing other networking events, this and that, and just be like, how are you organizing it? I do this too for my group, not as a, hi, I'm here to sell you. Let's hop on a call, talk about it. And then they might hear all the great things you're doing and be like, oh, well, for X amount, I'd be happy to do it for you. That would be my best advice on that one. That one's a little bit trickier because that's creating a business. And that's definitely, I've only done this once and I'm still figuring it out every day.
Cool. Okay. Going back to what you said about the 3 for free and the 3, can you go over that just a tad bit slower?
Yeah, sorry. So a lot of the coaches as you're creating a business, as you're building your brand, as you're figuring out what your offers are, it's the rule of 3s. So you say what you do. And then in order to get people that sense of urgency, it's for the next 3 people that sign up, or 3 people that DM me first, whatever it may be. Let's hop on a call, see if it makes sense. I will coordinate your mixer for free. No charge to you. All I ask is that when we're finished, you record. All I ask is that I can take photos and you record a video testimonial about your experience working with me. That's it. There's some people that are going to jump at that. After that, it's the next 3 are half price. All I ask, and it's those same 3 asks. Now you've done 6 mixers. You have established there is a need. You have established there's now budget because people are paying half price. You have 6 client testimonials. You have photos from 6 different events. Now you put a price tag on it. And as you get on calls, you may say, oh, it's your first one. I'll discount it 20%. You're going to have to play with it, figure it out. And as you've done, once you do, planning for yourself is very different than planning for someone else. Right now, you don't have to talk to anybody. You don't need any. I mean, maybe you're talking to vendors and things like that. You're not trying to incorporate somebody else's vision and planning through their lens. You're not waiting on them to give you, oh, I need your graphics. Oh, I need this. So once you've done 3 for free, if you listen to your body's gonna be like, oh, there is no way I would do this for under $1,000. There is just no way, or whatever that price is, to help you figure that out and track your time. That's kind of, event planners, we don't typically charge by time, because planning an event for 50 people is the same as planning an event for 75 people. The task is going to take me the same amount of time. But when I was first trying to figure out my pricing and things like that, I tracked my time. This is about how long it took me for venue negotiations. I did it. I kind of I just tracked time as I was working on tasks. And then I was able to go and kind of organize it and be like, okay, this was all sourcing a venue. Okay, this was all finding a photographer. This was all menu planning. And now I can kind of look at it and be like, okay, I know what my time is worth. I know that this task takes me approximately X amount of hours. This is the a la carte charge if somebody wanted to hire me just to source a venue. And now I feel comfortable in that. Then after about 1.5 years, when I felt like all I was doing was sourcing venues and negotiating contracts, because that was a great foot in the door for me for finding clients, because that's the piece people don't know. I have relationships with venues. I have the contract negotiation skills. I know what to ask for. So that was my foot in the door. Then after that, they were like, oh, well, let's work together and you plan my event. However, after about 1.5 years, once things took off with the venue planning, I was like, I'm upping my prices. All I'm doing is contract negotiation. So I had that proof of concept. I had the client testimonials. I had the experience, or the tangible, not the tangible experience, the client experience. Because before I was just doing it for my employer. Now I have a variety of different people in a variety of different industries. And that's how you know when your calendar books up and you feel like you're doing this one piece all the time, that's how you know it's time to increase your prices.
Wendy, question. As an event planner, is it also your job to market for them?
So I'm not going to say yes or no, because a lot of event planners do, a lot of event planners don't. I have marketing strategy. I don't have the time. I am not a copywriter. I do not like to write copy. I have a freelance copywriter. I have another freelance marketing strategist. So for me in my business, the skill set that I don't specifically have, or the things that I don't like to do, I have contractors that I outsource it to. So I'm still able to provide my clients with a turnkey solution if they want it. I have one other client who came to me and he's like, this is my event. I plan it on my own. It's totally good. This is how I've been getting people indoors. I've been going to local networking things and speaking. I don't want to do that. I'm away from my family. I want Facebook ads. Can you help me? It's like, absolutely. I understand his event. I connected him with my copywriter and marketing man. I connected him with John. John and him were working together. It flowed through Be Bright Events, but he had an expert in that realm. And I think that's a lot of the problem with a lot of these done for you solutions. One person is not skilled at everything.
Right.
So it's a matter of finding the right resources. Can I build websites? Yes. Do I like to build websites? It depends what your graphics look like, honestly. If your graphics are really pretty and you know what you want, then yeah, I'll build your website all day long. But what's nice is having that holistic overview and being able to outsource those, those various things. Personally, I try to steer clear of the marketing, because then it comes down to me. I didn't sell enough tickets. I didn't this, I didn't that. And it's like, I can give you the strategy all day long. I can send out your emails. I can execute that piece of it, but it comes down to you and your message of what all of that is. So I will, and there's always a disclaimer in any contracts that include marketing. There is a clause that is, the results are not guaranteed. This is, dependent on this, and this, and, because that's a tough one. It's definitely a tough one.
Thank you for breaking that down. You just gave me some clarity around it.
Oh, awesome. Good. I'm glad I could help. But Melissa, I also think for you, these mixers, a very good way that you could potentially break the ice is reaching out to businesses, actual companies with budget, where those mixers, similar to Stephen, those mixers are falling on the HR manager's ball, or it's falling on the office manager's plate, or it's falling on the HR manager's plate. They don't know how to do it. It's an extra task that just got added to them. And, for X amount, are you doing an employee retreat? Do you want to do an employee appreciation, employee morale? Do it just for their employees. It's still a mixer. It's going to get you photos. It's going to get you all of that. See, you got Katie on here messaging you. How can I be part of a mixer?
Big Katie.
It's speaking it into the universe is really, I'm a big believer in just putting it out there.
I like that. I didn't even think of that, like to a business. Yeah, because human resources isn't cut out. Not that they're not cut out, but they don't want to deal with that.
Right. They
They
exactly.
got some other stuff they got to deal with.
Exactly. I just started a consulting program because I was on sales calls with office managers. What do I do? What do I do? And they're not looking to hire me. The office manager is on salary, but they're like, how do I do this? And how do I, I thought it was a sales call. It was really just a strategy call. So I created a whole strategy program based on the need, but it's being open and noticing all the things that are happening, finding that need, and then creating a solution to serve that. So now I have a 6-thing strategy session that these office managers or HR people can hop on. I will create the timeline for them. I'll give them all my tools, all my templates, tell them what they need to do, when they need to do it. Here's your timeline. They take off running, and we go back and forth when they run into roadblocks, but they're the ones executing the whole thing, but they have the strategy behind it to know what to do.
Makes sense.
I love that you guys were just talking about that, because I'm even going to look into reaching out to women business owners and offering the brunch to them as well, because that's just another way to build a client base or connect women to support each other.
Absolutely. And with the women business owners, especially in a geographical region, they're all going to be connected. They've gone out, they've done the networking, they know who the people are. I think that's a great opportunity for you, Katie, of really getting yourself out there and just building more business, not just for yourself, but bringing people in and each other. Exactly. All right, guys.
Well, we just want to thank you, Wendy. This has been tremendously valuable and very inspiring, and it's great to meet you, Katie, and Melissa. And I think that we've got a lot of great momentum. It's just about putting it on the calendar. So that's what I'm going to do. As soon as I close this call, I'm going to put it on my calendar to fill out the form.
Yes, I'm a big advocate of time blocking, and you should see my calendar. It literally is like it is detailed out to what I have, 2 tasks. It's my entire planner, broken out 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there.
Absolutely.
I put it on do not disturb, set my timer for 30 minutes and go.
You see this tomato?
Yes.
This is my Pomodoro timer.
It is a great method. It works.
If
you stick to it, it works. My challenge is I get into flow and I'm like, oh, but I could just finish it. it. And then I do.
But then you need to recharge. That's right. Yeah. And I actually have a bunch of different things on my browsers to keep me from going to certain websites. So I can't go to Yahoo.
It's about knowing your weaknesses and putting roadblocks in.
Oh yeah, I have to. Yeah, otherwise, I'll go there and it's called Block Site. Yeah, it blocks a bunch of different websites for me.
Boy, see, I'll spend a whole day just filling out all the sites.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, thank you very, very, very much. And I dropped my link tree into the chat. If anybody wants to connect, then let's connect.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you showing up. I will send you a follow-up email with some links and resources and things. And feel free to hit me up with any questions as you start planning, and keep me posted of how things are progressing. I definitely want to hear about it.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.